Welcome back in, guys. Trey Lowell here, Lowell Productions. I don't know about you, but recently I have been bombarded by YouTube ads or just YouTube video, overall just any video in regards to cameras that I need to be buying in 2020. But I want to sit down and have a long-form discussion about some cameras that have been pushed on us and how I think there are some other options for you guys out there coming up next. Alright, notes and let's go. So, we started off discussing cameras being pushed on us and how recently it's just been a little overwhelming in regards to the amount of new cameras that are coming out in 2020. So I decided I would kind of go through all the cameras that I feel like have been pushed, give a quick opinion, and then I would spend some time on some cameras that are from the past that are getting real cheap and I think you guys should consider. So, diving right in, the first camera that I feel like I've been bombarded by this year, 2020, Canon R5, and coming in at $3,800, I have mixed opinions really about Canon in general. As you guys can see, I've owned the Canon 5D Mark III, absolutely loved it, but once I kind of hopped on the Panasonic bandwagon and also shoot with Sony, from a video standpoint, Canon has been put in the background. And for the Canon R5, with its hefty price tag of $3,800, also a lot of rumors in regards to overheating, I'll be honest with you, that particular camera and that body completely goes out the window. Now, I know its autofocus is going to be amazing, its color science is going to be great, and if you're already on that Canon kind of platform or that particular camera setup, you know, I could see you wanting to deep dive into this, but at that $3,800 price tag, I'm going to go ahead and weigh it out of the picture. So camera number one, I feel like they've been pushing on us, is the Canon R5 full frame. Yes, if you're a Canon fanboy, you probably like it, but from my personal opinion, I'm shooting a lot of video and I'm going to stay away from a camera that has been flirted with the idea of it's going to do a lot of overheating. Now, next camera that I feel like has been overwhelmingly pushed on myself, probably many of you guys, but rightly so, is going to be the Sony A7S3. Now, just a little background, I shoot with the Sony A7iii for a client, most likely about once to twice a week. We shoot a internet show, and we also shoot with the Sony A7S2s. So I am a huge fanboy of these cameras, really just the versatility in regards to being able to walk into any situation. Many of you guys are probably aware of Sony cameras dominate in low light situations. So that leads me to the A7S3. We all are aware that it has the flip out screen, which I think is going to lure a lot of vloggers into wanting that camera, because if you're on the Sony systems, you never had a flip out screen, it's going to be a huge selling point. Now, someone that's on the Panasonic systems like myself, flip out screens have been available to me since the Panasonic GH5, and I know they've been available before then, but that's when I started shooting on these systems. So that's not going to lure me in, but it does have better IBIS. It's got some crazy high frame rates it's going to be able to shoot in, and they uploaded or kind of packed it with some 4K features. Now, that being said, as someone that once again is a Panasonic shooter, a lot of these kind of frame rates and stuff have been available to me and IBIS. So this is something to me that's not new, but if you're on that Sony system, I gotta be honest with you, this is probably going to be a nice little touch. Now, that being said, we all know that Sony's autofocus is amazing, so I think now that they're packing the flip screen, plus they're going to get some better IBIS and some more 4K options, if you are a fan of Sony, this is going to be a camera that's probably going to draw you in. Camera number three, and this might be getting pushed on me in particular because I do like to peek at some of those more expensive cameras, is going to be the Red Komodo 6K. Look, I know that Reds are amazing from what I can tell and hear, but I think that for your most consumers, this is just a little bit above what they're going to be capable of kind of maxing out. Now, if you've got $6,000 or $7,000, what it's looking here, now that's just for body. Reds are notorious for basically you have to buy Red product. That's what I at least have heard or watched. So it gets a little bit pricey in regards to kind of beefing up your camera, but Red has been known for producing amazing image, and I think to sum this one up, I don't really want to waste much time, but people that are really high up in the industry and are really producing high-end products, this is probably a camera you're going to be flirting with, and at that $7,000 price mark to get a red in your hands. Look, I'd probably rent it first, want to get my hands on it, experiment with it before even considering the idea of purchasing a camera like this. But it's just one I wanted to address because I've seen many YouTube videos and I'm starting to get some advertisements in regards to it. So the red Komodo in 2020, not for me, maybe for you, but if I'm going to be honest, probably for somebody that is doing video way better than you and I. But that's just my honest opinion. Oof, I butchered that one, and it's probably because I need some coffee. Yeah, I mean, I just really felt like I wanted to give a little bit of 2 cents in regards to these cameras and price tags in 2020. Like I said, we've got some options at the end that I think are really going to be more up you guys' alley. So the next camera, I'm a Panasonic fanboy, so of course it's being pushed on me, but it's being kind of pushed all over the place, and I'm kind of happy, but at the same time, it's not really what I'm looking for, and that's going to be the Panasonic S5, which is going to be the baby brother of the S1, the S1H, Panasonic's, what I would consider prosumer level full frame camera that they came out with not too long ago. I want to say the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. Now, what's tricky about this one is at that $2,000 price point, I know it's going to have pretty solid IBIS. I know it's going to have great video because it's Panasonic. It's full frame. Now, someone that's a Panasonic user and a huge fan of the GH series, kind of finding a hard time to even consider this camera, really, because my GH5 can do just about everything this can, and from what I've heard, my GH5 might even have better IBIS. Now, for $2,000, I think anyone that's considering kind of moving towards the Panasonic system, if you did want the full frame, this is a great price point to just start, because I do know it's packing a lot of heat with video resolutions. It's full frame. It's going to have good IBIS, so if you're coming from Canon, so if you're coming from Canon or you're coming from Sony and you probably put this in your hands, you're really going to love it. Now, the thing that's the make or breaker for me is it's that L glass or whatever they're doing, and I don't own any of it. I have a ton of other glass. So if I ever even went up to the S1H or the S5, I'd probably just buy a speed booster for some of my Canon glass, and I would work from there. Overall, I mean, a lot of people seem to say that this is a great camera. It doesn't have full HDMI, which I'm used to on the GH5, but I don't want to really knock this camera. I've watched several videos, but like I said, I just am happy where I'm at with my camera system, so this one is just not being anything I've really taken a lot of time to look into, but it does pack a lot of the same features as the GH5. So at $2,000, a brand new full-frame camera. If you got the money to also get a piece of glass, which I've heard there's a great deal to get, I want to say Sigma piece of glass plus this camera body, and I wanted to say it was like, maybe it was $2,500 or it was below. Something where you could literally get the body and you could get the glass all for like, the glass was $500 and the body ended up being like $1,500. So the Panasonic S5, I do enjoy that that Panasonic is at least starting to flirt with the idea of competing with the Sonys and the Canon. While I know in the past they have been with the S1H and all that, to me, as a fanboy, I understand why you'd pay all that money for that camera, but I think it's a tough sell for a lot of other people that just haven't basically experimented with the Panasonic and what it brings to the table in regards to video. So the S5 is a great new camera that they put out there to intrigue you guys, and I think you should at least try it or try to get your hands on it just to get a taste of the Panasonic cameras and what they're capable from the video side. So now that we've discussed the cameras that I feel like have been pushed on us, I'm now going to spend some time on the cameras that are from the past, blast from the past, that I think are just coming in ridiculously cheap these days. Starting with number one, my favorite until they come out with the Panasonic GH6, unless Panasonic, you don't give us anything good with it. Be very disappointed, but I've always been happy with the GH5, and I could even go probably another year or two easily before I'd max this camera out and really need to buy something else. So the Panasonic GH5 in 2020, you can get this bad boy for $12.99. Now you can go get it brand new with the new glass and everything like that. 2300 is what I'm seeing on B&H right now. I'm seeing the what looks like to be body only for $12.99 from Best Buy. Love this camera. Tons of 4K. IBIS is amazing. Flip screen, tiny. Micro Four Thirds cameras, while some people think that they can't handle low light, I would argue this GH5, not many situations I really can't film in. 3200 ISO is not a problem, and if I use some of my glass that can stop down to like a f1.7 with the speed booster, f1.3, a t1.5, you know, basically there's just a lot of situations I'm going to be good. Panasonic GH5, $1,200. This camera, I think, came out in 2018. I could be wrong, but I've owned this thing for several years. Might be 2017. I forget. Put the comment in the comment section below if I got it wrong. But that is my first camera that I recommend. $1,200. Get yourself a decent piece of glass. $200 glass, $100 glass. This whole setup, $200, $100. You know, you slap that on this GH5 and you've got some really great looking footage coming out of a camera, and your budget's under $2,000. So that's camera number one that I would at least recommend you guys take a look at. I know I'm a fanboy, so take that with a grain of salt. But GH5 for 2020, cha-ching, yes, save that money. All right, moving to camera number two, I think you guys should keep an eye out for 2020 because I know it's going to be price dropping, is the Sony A7iii. And like I said earlier, I shoot with this for a client. Pretty much we shoot with all Sonys for them, and the A7iii comes in handy. Better battery life than the A7S II. It's going to have better IBIS. Still nothing like the Panasonic GH5, but it's going to be usable. Slow-mo's great in that camera. Low-light capabilities are amazing in the A7iii. And from what I can see right here, Best Buy has it at $21.99. Looks like you can go Walmart, $1,800. This is all body only. Oh, nope, the $21.99 was including a lens. We've got the $16.89. So, you guys can get a little bit of an understanding. That Sony A7iii, I imagine when the Sony A7S III does come out, makes it to the public, you're going to see this price drop even more. So, that's my second camera that I think you guys should take a look at, 2020. Moving on to number three. And this camera is one, if you're a fan of Panasonic, you've heard of this camera, but if you're not, you've probably never heard of it. And it's a Panasonic G9. How do I sum this one up? A little bit of a step down, a smidge from the GH5, but I really don't think so. Every video that I see, great IBIS, great video codecs. It's my understanding that this camera was more so for photography, but a lot of people seem to use it for vlogging, for videography. And I'm looking at it on B&H right now, body only, brand new, $1,000. And that even comes with a new card. So if you wanted to buy a used one, gonna be way cheaper. Get yourself a piece of glass, and for 2020, I'm thinking you could get yourself some decent audio, a nice piece of glass or two, and get yourself a tripod. And dude, you're at like $1,300. Maybe a little bit more, 14. Like I said, if you go out and you look for a used one, brand new, it's $1,000. I'm guessing for used, you can get it maybe $850, maybe even cheaper. So Panasonic G9, if you've never heard of it, go take a look at it. Fantastic camera and a great bang for the buck. Now, camera number 4, and this one's going to be 4 and 5, BlackMagic Pocket Cinema 4K and 6K. The 4K, B&H, $1,295, $1,300. That's brand new. Phenomenal camera. Only downside of this camera, you're going to need to have a lot of gear. How do I explain this? It's my understanding with these Blackmagics, they perform in the video codecs and everything unbelievable. But you're probably going to need a monitor. You're probably going to need a ton of batteries. As far as card space goes, a lot of people seem to use SSD hard drives. Those aren't going to be cheap. So what am I trying to get at? Amazing camera, just taking consideration. This is more of a camera I think a lot of people end up buying when they've been into videography or cinematography for a while, because you do need to have a little bit of a background in cameras. just in a sense of taking full advantage of this camera. It's not that I don't think beginners can use it. It really just boils down to, I think that it's a camera you need to have a little camera knowledge to use. But my goodness, the video you can get out of this is unbelievable. Codecs are great. And we're going to move to the Blackmagic 6K. Same here, amazing camera. I've heard just phenomenal reviews in regards of it. The 6K video that comes out of it's awesome, and it's coming in at $1,900 new. So you could probably poke around and find one a little bit cheaper used. And like I said, this is one of those cameras, probably if you have all the accessories already purchased, you're going to be able to easily jump into this camera. But if you're a noob or you're kind of new into cameras, if you want to get this one first, you're going to be light years ahead of where you're going to need to be. But taking full potential of it will take you a long time. And my last and most favorite camera, and I swear to you, I'm probably going to own one of these here in the near future, are the ZCams. And I do not recommend this camera for anyone that is new to cameras. I think this is going to be a camera you're going to need to be comfortable with different kind of cameras. You're going to need to own accessories. But for a body, Super 35 6K cinema camera, $24.99 brand new. Now this camera comes with no monitor. It comes with no glass. You're going to need to have all the memory cards. It is in very what I consider advanced camera, similar to like the red Komodo, but the image you're going to get out of this is unbelievable. And fingers crossed, I own either this one or their full frame cinema 6K camera coming in at $39.99. The ZCam, you have the E2F6, which is the full frame, and then you have the E2S6, which is the Super 35. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to probably be cheap and get the Super 35. I love the way the Super 35s look. Full frame's great as well. You're going to get great depth of field. But that is kind of my secret camera that I think if you are a little bit more advanced, similar, you've been shooting on GH5s, been shooting on the Sonys, Canons for a long time, and you're really hyper-focused on video. You have some monitors, you got a couple of nice memory cards or SSD drives. You know, if you want to step it up, I think this is a camera that I might find myself making my way towards here in the near future, just to step that game up to the next level. But hey guys, a little bit more of a long form video, just me giving you my thorough opinion in regards to 2020 and feeling like cameras have been pushed on us a lot, and I think it's a little bit unnecessary, really just because of the times and all these other cameras that I've listed off that just really do a phenomenal job. And I think you could go with one of these cameras, treat yourself to a light, some decent audio, maybe a nice piece of glass, and you might even be ahead of some of these new cameras in regards to what you're going to be able to do and the capabilities of what the older cameras versus the newer ones, really side by side, they're going to perform about the same. And if you can get your hands on some nicer accessories, you actually might take a step forward. So hey guys, long form video. It's Trey Lowell, Lowell Productions. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like the content I keep creating on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Holy monkey, that was a bunch of blabber. How long was that? 20 minutes? Woof. Sorry about that.